What's happening, everybody? You're tuned in to another episode of Off the Yard. I'm Big Lance, and this is my story. We're talking about the S.H.U. We're talking about Seg. We're talking about 24 hours in a cell. We're going to get into all the aspects of being in the S.H.U. We're going to get into getting booked, which is the video we're about to do right now. We're going to get into the routine that you're going to have to form in order to keep your sanity. You're going to talk about your psychological, physical, mental exhaustion that comes along with being isolated. People hear the term S.H.U, people hear the term segregation, they think, oh, I could do that. And you could. But many men, strong, powerful men, have gone completely crazy, lost all touch with reality. I think that there comes a point in time when society needs to take a look at it and think, is this really helpful? Let's get into it. Welcome to Gladiator School. I spent a lot of days, a lot of hours, a lot of months, probably a few years altogether, being isolated from any human contact. The only human contact I would have would be through a tray slot or somebody putting cuffs on me. So to this day, I still struggle with like human contact, hugging, that type of thing, man, because it throws off your way of thinking. It throws off the aspect of human contact and how human touch can cure certain parts of your soul sometimes. When you put somebody in a cage, when you put somebody in a box for a long period of time, they're going to change. They're going to get different. And they expect you to come out of these long-term S.H.U stints with a clear mind and a clear head. Like we're all some type of Buddhist monks who can just be isolated and sit in a cave. But not everybody's built like that. Not everybody can sustain the traumatic effect that it has on your psyche, on your physicality, how small you're going to get. And people need to understand that with that comes, a lot of time needed to heal. We're going to start at the beginning, though, because I want you guys to understand the full capacity of what I'm talking about. At the end of the day, there needs to be a discussion on copability, capability. Not everybody is built and designed to be able to be isolated. It's not effective for everybody. It's not going to work for everybody. So until that discussion is had, there's going to continue to be people who come out of these institutions, come out of these cages messed up. Most of the reasons are for behavioral issues or people who just have a hard time living in Gen Pop. For me, it was because I was a gang member. I was labeled STG, Security Threat Group. Not only was I a part of it, but in time, eventually became the leader of such a group. To put me along the lines of Whitey Bulger, John Gotti, I'm on the same list as them. Homegrown terrorists. Now, am I as high profile as those guys? No. But that doesn't matter. The thing about it being high profile, that's a media thing. That's not a law thing. There are a lot of guys who are doing time in the federal system, in the state system that you guys have never heard of, but were just as financially lucrative as some of these guys that you see on these shows. You just never heard of them. Now, getting booked, getting your case, doesn't always have to be something that you necessarily did at the moment. I've been sitting in my cell reading a book, thinking everything was going fine, and the investigators would come to my cell, pop it open, get off the bunk, on your knees, turn around, face the wall, you're in cuffs, and that is the last time that you are going to be in Gen Pop for a long time. When they put you under what is called investigation, They can hold you for a certain amount of time. It used to be, and it could be whenever. It was indefinite. Now I believe that they cannot hold you for more than 364 days. They cannot hold you a whole year under investigation without a case, without a charge. But even that, think about it. A year of your life in a cage. I know dudes that sat back in those seg units for years. And the administration couldn't wonder why they're not functioning out in Gen Pop. They couldn't wonder why. They sat and wondered why they're getting in fights and not living good with others and selling up by themselves because they can't be around other people because they'll stab them. They're paranoid. Their PTSD is through the roof. They have night terrors. They don't want to be around people. They've learned how to sustain and live and function alone. And they're comfortable and would prefer that. But that's not the way the human psyche works. We are designed to be tribal. We're designed to be family oriented, to have companions, whether it be with a female or a friend or a cell partner or a gang or whatever. That's what humanity is, a bunch of tribes. You look around, there's a bunch of tribes. From counties to cities to states to countries to coasts. Everything is tribes. Now, when you take that aspect away from somebody and you book them under an investigation, now you're sitting back there with no light at the end of the tunnel. Yes, I'm in a box. Yes, I'm getting 3 meals. Sometimes, and the worst part about the meal issue is that they're going to feed you at 3:30 in the afternoon, 4 o'clock in the afternoon when their shift change. They want to feed you before shift change at 5. They'll do their count. But imagine eating your little 1,500 calorie tray, usually a bologna sandwich with some beans or coleslaw, some bull, and you are not going to eat again until 6 o'clock the next day. You will starve. As sure as I'm standing here, you will starve. What we would do is we would save bread or an apple or something for the nighttime. But if you have a real asshole guard, they'll take you out and shake your cell down and take your apple just to mess with you. They do not feed you enough in prison. We are grown men eating a Lunchable. That's what it pretty much amounts to. Go to Wawa's, buy yourself some Lunchables, and then try to eat just that for the next week. You will starve. Now, I feel like sometimes it's almost they almost do it on purpose. Because I feel like if you starve people, it's going to create drama. It's going to create animalistic behavior. Animals are hungry, they eat. If they don't have the food, they go find it. If they have to take it, they will. They will form a tribe. Prison is not a place where they're rehabilitating anything. They know what they're doing. So you get booked, you go in front of your committee, whatever it might be in your state. They're called different things, but basically you're going to have a unit manager, you're going to have either a counselor or something there, and you're going to have your judicial committee, and they're going to judge you. They're going to say, well, Mr. Moore, you have been put under investigation for running an STG, a security threat group. Well, what did I do? As you sit there, pleading your case, fighting for your freedom within a prison, because the SEG unit is a prison within a prison. So I'm trying to understand why I've been locked up. I was in my cell, minding my business. Of course I know why, but I need them to prove it. There has to be proof, right? Guilty until proven innocent is the way they look at it. They don't need proof, man. They're going to lock you up. They're going to leave you back there. And then every couple weeks, they're going to pull you back in front of this committee. And they're still not going to give you an answer. You're going to get to the point where your senses are on such high alert that every noise makes you run to the tray slot. You're praying they leave the tray slot open today so you can get some air. The highlight of your day is mail call, and 90% of the time, you get nothing. They're going to bring a phone around once a week. But if you're in there back on a case or a charge, you're not going to be able to use the phone. You can only use it if you're under investigation. But still then, you're going to get about 5 minutes to use it. So getting booked is, you're starting to come to some of these realizations, man. You're starting to see what the next weeks, months, or year of your life is going to entail. It's very scary. It causes a lot of anxiety because you don't know from minute to minute what they're going to say to you. You have no idea how long you're going to be there. Then they're going to bring you your charge sheet or your lockup sheet. Basically, is going to give you the list of the items that they took and put in your property from your cell. They're going to give you your nothing to have in your cell now, because you're basically going to be in your boxers and a t-shirt. Some prisons will give you a jumpsuit to wear in your cell because they keep it very cold there. The reason that it's cold back there a lot of times is to subdue people. A lot of people don't know that. There's two reasons why they keep it cold. One, because it keeps down the germs. Two, because as inmates, they understand that as long as you're cold and you're at a certain temperature, you're not going to be out moving around causing ruckus. They want you in that bed under them covers. So that being said, they keep it around 65 degrees. Now, being in a 65-degree cell all day, it's cold. You're going to start getting used to these things. You're going to start to form your own little routines. But let me ask you this. How do you form a routine if you have no idea how long you're going to be there? What's your routine going to be? Because if you start this, maybe you get out. The thought process is always in your mind is that you're going to be getting out of there, but when? But when? But when? That's the question. So getting booked is kind of like the introduction to SEG. Most of the guys that are back there have done SEG time, but every once in a while you'll get that one guy who comes back there who's never done SEG time, and you will hear him whimper at night. You'll slowly begin to hear him lose his mind. And unfortunately, you have people who will help them lose their mind. Yell at them through the cells. Say things to get them going, get them riled up. You have guys back there that are crazy, that are rubbing feces on themselves and eating their own feces. And you have guys who are making trucker bombs out of milk cartons. When the COs come, they'll throw it at them. And then a trucker bomb is, they take an old milk carton and they'll put feces in it, urine, and then water, and then they close it up. And they let it sit for about a week, sometimes longer. And then when that guard opens that tray slot to give them food the next day, or whenever they decide, they'll throw that trucker bomb right in their face. It's the most disgusting thing I think I've ever seen in my life. At the end of the day, when you get booked, realization hits. The terror, the anxiety. You're looking at four walls all day. Some of these cells do not have windows. They don't have windows, and they don't have windows on the door. Imagine that. You will not see daylight. You will get a couple of days of rec a week, which is basically you're going to be walked out in cuffs to a cell, to a cage with other guys sometimes by yourself if you're on a real bad investigation like I was. But we're going to get into that. I hope you got a clear understanding of the beginning of the process of going to do a S.H.U term. I have a 5-part series coming, and I really am excited about it. I hope you guys are going to love it. And, you know, I'm going to take you step by step through the procedures, through the effects, through everything, because I need you guys to get a clear aspect of what this is like. So until next time, guys, thank you for tuning in to Off the Yard. Much love to the Gladiator Gang. Salute to all my blue-collar kings and queens out there getting that money. And as always, stay up, stay out, and stay sucker-free, baby.